Hey everybody, welcome back. Today, I'm going to make something different. I am going to turn this wood dowel, not into another big topwater bait like I did the replica of the MS Slammer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to carve it into a kind of a square bill, but I'm not going to paint it. I'm going to do the same thing with this leftover piece of pine that we had from when we built my son's black belt little storage thing. You know, he got his black belt, super awesome. So we're gonna do that. I gotta cut this wood first. I'm gonna glue it together to make it thick enough. That's just not quite thick enough for like a square bill or anything else. And then gonna start shaping it using the sander and all that stuff. But I'm just gonna use the bandsaw to cut a chunk of this off. I'm gonna measure it. Gonna have two pieces that are about 3 inches long, and then sandwich those together with some clamps and then glue it together, and then later this afternoon when it's dry, it'll be ready to go to start actually shaping it, sanding it, doing all that good stuff. So let's get to it. So there's a little blemish right here in this wood, but that's okay because we can use the heart of the meat of the wood right here. This other end has got this little spot here. I could cut it here and then just cut that part out. That might actually be a better idea. So I'm just gonna take my speed square and I'm gonna measure about 3.5 inches, and that's gonna be the line that we're gonna cut. I want it to be a little bigger than it needs to be so that we can have some extra meat on the bait for when we actually build our bait here. Yeah. Trying to get this measurement. 3.5. See, there's some chunky wood right there too. All right. So we're cutting that piece out because it's bad. Then we're going to sandwich these two together to make our one little piece that we're going to glue together. All right, we got our two pieces. Let me clamp this here. So we got our two pieces, 3.5 inches. They're pretty good to go. We're gonna just glue these together, clamp them up tight, and then man, this thing's floppy right now. We're gonna clamp them up tight so that they're ready to go here in probably an hour or so. That'll be enough time to get it set up, and then we'll move on to the next step. It's not exactly perfect, but it's close enough. Trying to line up the better edges. Yeah, that's good. That'll be good. So we want it pretty close on the end so we don't have to do too much extra sanding. So you can always just tap it down like that. That way you've got one flush edge, and then do it that way. So what we're gonna do first is I've just got some wood glue here. This is just Elmer's wood glue. I've got some of the Type Bond somewhere, but I can't seem to find it right now, so whichever. And that's more than enough to do what we need to do. Wipe that off. Take these clamps. These are some Irwin clamps I've had for a while. I like them because they have these rubber edges and they get pretty darn tight. Same thing with this one here. I'm actually going to put 3 on this because I want it really good and strong, tight together. And let's see. There's the other Irwin one. Just like that. Okay, while we're waiting on that glue to set, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece off of this dowel. I drew a little line here. All right, let's break this sucker loose here. Let me open this drawer back up so we can put some of this stuff away. Good and solid. Not too much glue overspill. That's good. Looks pretty good. Should be ready to draw our patterns. Okay, the general design of this is just going to be a square bill, right? So small little square bill here. You can see pretty standard pattern. That's that color shifting one I did. So I'm just going to kind of trace out what I think will be a good pattern here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it out of the paper out, and then we'll glue it to the wood. Once we get the wood to the block, that should fit just fine on there. Once we get that done and glued on and cut out, then we'll peel this off and we'll affix it onto there, which is going to be a little tricky, but doable. Okay, we got it cut out. Got the old purple glue stick here. Go. So back to the bandsaw, we're going to cut this shape out, and then once we get it all the way cut out, then we'll peel this off and we'll affix it onto this one to create kind of the same pattern here. Bandsaw. Too bad. General shape is down. Be able to round this off and everything. The grain really came together kind of cool, which is important for what I'm trying to do here. So on to the next step. Now I know not everybody has one of these belt sanders like this. So make do with what you got. If you've got, even just pieces of sandpaper, it may take a little longer. You can use a heavy rasp or a file, but you can get it done without this. This just speeds up the process. There's a lot of guys out there that'll take their knives and whittle away at it. I want to get the shape really close on this, and then we'll start refining it down as far as the overall thickness. This is a little thick for what I want, not too much though. And then, just clean it up to get it to the next step for where we want it to be. Time for the sanding. Got it pretty good here, got it pretty good here. Or got it pretty good through here and through here. Got to get over here onto the big belt to do the rest. So I'm going to move the camera, and then we'll finish this up, and then we'll start on that other bait. We got the general shape down, pretty close to our lines, which is fine. It's pretty smooth, and we're going to peel this part off. We're going to put it on that other piece, and we're going to start shaping it. All right, so we got this stuck on here. This is going to be a lot more difficult than I thought, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the bandsaw, and I'm going to rough cut that shape out, going around, and then we'll bring it over, and we're going to have to do a lot of sand work on this one. Bandsaw. Oh boy, took a little chunk out of there when I got a little aggressive, but I can fix that. So there's the rough shape. This is going to be tough. Lots of sanding on this one. I'm going to use the big sander quite a bit. not bad. It's getting there. There's their rough shape right there. Still got that little boo-boo right there, but we can fix that because we're going to be taking off some meat off of the sides anyway. But it's definitely going to be a smaller profile than the other one, just based on the meat we're having to take off. So I'm going to finish. Okay, this is turning into a hot mess. It's rough. A lot of sanding in the vise, I think, but we'll get it there. But we got our rough shape now. Minus a little chunk coming off the end there, but that's okay. We're going to sand the back end down. Now, I'm no expert on the bill kind of angle, so I just kind of cheat a little bit and just mark it like that, so I know this one's going to be a lot harder. We're just going to cheat this back a little bit. That angle is very important. Okay, so that angle's like this actually. There we go. So we're going to cut that in. We're going to cut it in here. There we go, and we'll just go in deep enough to be able to make that work. Band solved. This dowel one is turning into a really ugly bait. But we'll make it work. It'll work, I promise. We're not giving up hope. Never give up. All right, this one is looking pretty good. We're gonna do some refining in the vise over here. This one, on the other hand, is looking quite janky. But the good news is it's rounded over on the sides already, which will help us in that process. And once we start sanding, we'll clean all this up. It'll get there. It's not going to be as clean as this one. It just isn't. Flat surfaces make for easier cutting here, and everything else. And then once we go and we sand it and do all that by hand, we're really going to clean this one up nicely. This one's just going to take a little bit more TLC and work. But for now, it's time to switch over. And I'm going to take the rough edges or the sharp edges off of this one on the belt sander, and then we're going to go right over to the vise and start sanding there. I just don't know which one of these I really want to start on. The one that's going to be easy or the one that's going to be hard. Frankly, it really doesn't matter. They're both going to be work to get right, but let's just start on the one that we have a little more confidence in, shall we? Now it's starting to look like that other one. Really, whoa, look at that. I just noticed this. We got a little blowout here. I'm going to save, actually what I'm going to do, because I want this to be kind of a pretty bait when we're done here, I'm going to super glue this back in somehow. Boy, that's going to be tricky. All right. Okay, I got it glued back in there. It kind of broke and slid down, so I had to glue it back in there. You're going to see we're going to have to shape that up. And we sand. All right, lots and lots of sanding, but I got that taper down. You can see the sand marks from that piece of belt. It's awfully dusty in here. Still got a little ways to go. I'm not gonna make you guys sit through all of that. So we're gonna fast forward. I did get the glue on this done. That's that piece that I glued back on. It lined back up pretty well. I'm gonna do some more rough sanding on this to get this refined down. I just put it on the belt sander to shape some of the sides down to get it close. And then we're going to fast forward to our next step. Okay, now we've got both of these. This is gonna be a slim little one. We got both of these set up. This one's got a bigger belly on it, just because of the shape of what the wood we were carving it out of. Still got this chunk up here, but I think we're gonna be able to sand that out. You see that little chunk? That's a bandsaw boo-boo. So I'm gonna do a lot more hand sanding on these to get them really refined to where we wanna be. Then we're gonna fit and fill the bills. This one's got a little bit of work we're gonna have to do to get that bill to fit right because of the crooked little cut there. So I'm gonna have to sand a little bit in there with a file to get it good. And then this one should be just great. It shouldn't be a problem. So hand sanding, and then we're gonna cut our Lexan. That's gonna be our next couple of steps here. All right, Lexan. So I just squoze that in there. Fits really nice, which is great. I'm just gonna kind of roughly trace out how big I want this bill to be. Perfect. We're going to cut those out on the bandsaw, and then we should be pretty good to go. Yeah, that ought to be great. All right. You can see the fit on this is pretty good. It'll be shaped down a little bit more once we get sanded, but that's looking pretty good. This guy on the, whoops, you know what I did? This guy goes here. This guy goes here. See how we do that? Get a little confused and ahead of ourselves at times. Yeah, this one was a little longer, but I've also got to figure out a way to bury it a little bit deeper there. So a lot of sanding to do on this one. I could probably use the bandsaw if I'm super careful just to get that square a little better, and then we'll be better ready or closer to be able to do the final sandings and everything on both of these baits. All right, pretty good, I would say. Not great. We're gonna do something different with these. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm actually going to drill holes in the back of these, put a screw in each one of them, the screw eyelet, because we are gonna turn these into actual baits, but we're gonna burn them. We're gonna burn this wood to create that burnt wood look. Then we're going to clean it up. We're going to sand it again. If we have to burn it again, we'll burn it again. And then we're going to clear coat these, and we're just going to have some really cool looking baits. That's all they are. I don't plan on fishing them. Maybe I'll give them away if they turn out really cool. I don't know. Hit me up in the comments and see. So the next, all right, we got the drill here. We're going to go ahead and just get ahead of myself, and I'll screw it up. We should punch these. Even though we're not exactly making a bait to fish with, we should be doing our best to keep it somewhat clean here. Boy, this one's going to be tough because I really chewed away a lot of that meat on that back end. We're going to do that one second. This one should be pretty easy. Here we go. Look at that. Nice. Awesome. All right. So now we're going to put these screw eyes in. The reason I haven't refined down all the sanding yet is because I'm going to put these eyelets in. We're going to burn it, and then we're going to have to sand it all again. So got the old flamethrower, if you will. Let's see. I'm trying to adjust this camera so it'll pick up this process. So make sure you're not around any other flammable things. I've got this pointed. You can't tell, but there's nothing here, right? I'm in this zone of safety, if you will. There goes the propane. There goes the flame. And I am just going to rotate this through. If this was a steak, she'd be overcooked, right? I think that's good. Unfortunately, we can see that seam start to show up in this particular bait where we glued those two pieces together. But that's okay, because once we sand it down again, it's going to kind of go away, I hope. I've never done this before. This is the first time for me. So we got both of our lures there now, slightly blackened. We're going to clean them up. This one's already cooled off. They're both cooled off. That's a great thing about wood. It dissipates heat really quickly. So, all right. All right, now that we're done playing with fire, just taking this. This is a plastic brush here. I might need to take something a little more aggressive to this. All that. So, yeah, look at that. That's really cool looking. I'm gonna dip these baits in this Varathane polyurethane. It's a water-based sealer. Probably should have some gloves on right now, but this stuff cleans up actually pretty easily. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna hang these from some hooks in here. And we're gonna let them dry for a couple hours. Gonna drip right onto that. And then we'll be able to get back on them probably tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna have time today. They are hanging. Hopefully you can see that all right. They're just going to hang there and drip down onto that paper plate and get pretty, hopefully. All right, so overnight these things set up. That clear coat I dipped them in, and then I sanded them just to get, bring out some more of the grain. Didn't get that really good. I'll work on that one. This one looks really cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get the bill inserted into both of these baits, and then we'll get the other hardware installed so that this looks appropriate. We got to drill the holes for the eyes still, which will just take a split second. And then I'm actually going to use the torch and just touch those eyes so that they're black all around those. And then, of course, we're going to do some more sanding, but we're on our way. So first thing, all right, I always tend to over drill these, but I got it in the vise. Got the Forstner on the old DeWalt here, and just going to lightly drill that out. I don't want to go too deep. There we go. So there we have it. Eyes ready to go on both sides, and we're going to do the other one. Needs to be greased up a little bit. This one's a little tougher because of how rounded it is, so I'm gonna have to come in on an angle here. You might not be able to see this because of the camera placement and everything else. And we're good. That one's a little bit deeper than the other one, but it still looks pretty good. So we got the eyes ready, 4 eyes. Now we need to blacken those up. We'll do that over here with the fire again. Turn the caliper back off. I don't know why it came on. And we should be ready to go on the next step here. In hindsight, I probably should have blackened these the same time I did everything else, but I didn't. So, oh well. All right, there we go. Didn't really do much. Delete this. Well, that burning didn't go well. I had to go back and re-sand the eye areas on both of these, which it's okay, and they're kind of wet right now. But on to the next step, which is we're gonna super glue these bills in, but first we have to get these bills fitted and shaped to the right shape before we actually get them glued into the baits. All right, I had to use some of my mini files here to get these fitted into the bait. That one's fitted pretty good. Again, we're not really going to use these. And this one's the same kind of deal. With a little bit of pressure, it gets in there nicely. So now we're going to go over to the sander and get them shaped just right to fit with the bait and to get the square bill shape that we want. And you can see that's pretty rounded off. I've got to clean this edge up a little bit and then make it square because it's not square. This side needs to come down a little bit more. And then beyond that, we'll be ready to glue them in. So look how good that looks, minus don't look at the spot where I just scratched it. But that's that. It's going to go with this guy here. And we've got to peel this off for this guy. Okay. So there's those two. My hands are a little dusty from that sanding, but that's okay. We're just going to take some of this glue, try not to use too much of it, and we're just going to drip a little bit into the middle of this bait. There we go. Now we're going to take this and we are going to push it all the way in, getting it lined up in the process. That looks pretty darn good. Need it to slide just a little bit over. Ah, super glue nearly got me. It's on the bill there, but that's okay. Let me wipe that off before it gets too nasty. We're going to clear coat the heck out of this thing, so a lot of that will go away. There we go. Okay, so there's the general bill is inserted. It looks pretty good, not great. We'll just let that sit. Now we're going to do this guy. Try not to get too much super glue on ourselves. Okay. Always seal your super glue back up, boys and girls. Okay. This one went in a lot easier and is just that easy. All right, so we're going to let those sit. They're going to cure up with that super glue in there, and then once they're done and the super glue is dried, we're going to come in and we're going to put our line tie here, the hook hanger here, same with these, and then we'll be ready for eyes and clear coat. All right, we'll let these sit for a few minutes. I'm kind of concerned about the line tie on this one, considering where it's going to go, but I'm going to drill it right here. So we got those spots marked. We got our handy dandy drill ready to go, and we're just going to drill these out. Done. All right. Okay, I've got the screw eyes here. I got the super glue still. So what we're going to do, this is going to get messy, and I'm just going to do my best to clean it up as we go, but I'm just going to put a little dollop of super glue right on these eye holes where we've drilled these pre-drill spots. I mean, a tiny little bit, a tiny little bit. Almost there. Bingo. Everything lines up pretty nicely. The bill is a little bit janky. Not bad. Okay. So there we go. 2 crankbaits ready for eyes and then ready for clear coat. I'm thinking just regular old kind of holographic eyes on these. These are 6mm eyes. I think they should fit in those holes pretty well. We'll do a little dollop of glue just to help these set in there. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. Ah, super glue. What do you guys think? Those look pretty neat, huh? All right, we're gonna give that glue a few minutes and then we're gonna hit the clear coat. While we're waiting on that super glue to dry on those eyes, hopefully I'm not blocking myself or getting too much light. Can you see behind me? That's my clear coat, the UV chamber, right here. It's lightweight, made it out of a tub, some aluminum foil, the lights, and it's pretty easy. Hold on, I gotta set it down. But just like that, I got the cords. I can plug it into my power strip over here, and voila, we've got UV light. So I'm gonna get ready and do these, and then we'll zap them in there, and then we'll be ready to reveal the final product. All right, I've got my gloves on, got my Starbucks. Good stuff. I put gloves on because I don't want any of my oil from my hands getting on these baits, especially after I've sanded them and tried to get them all cleaned up. So we're going to do this little guy first. Got the brush here. I put it in this. Engineered Angler kind of said protect the end so it doesn't get exposed to UV light, which in my house it shouldn't. But that way you can keep using your brush over and over again. So I just took an old wine bottle cork and drilled out and just put it in there, and it protects it from the light. So I need something. I needed something to hold on to it, so I went and got my little thing here. That gets it pretty stable. So just gonna dip it in there. Gonna get quite a bit on it to start. I'm probably going to have to do multiple coats to really get the high gloss look that I'm wanting to achieve here. Sorry if I'm breathing funny. I still got this cold. Really sucks being sick over Christmas and New Year's, and here we are 2020 already, and I'm still fighting this stupid cold. Gonna transition this over to this hanger just like that. Gonna hang it up over here just for a split second so I can loosen this grabber. There we go. Just twist the camera a little bit and you'll be able to see this one going in. Just got a hanger here. Boom. Hung up, it's in there. I'm going to put the lid on, close it, flip the switch, and we have ultraviolet light zapping it. Okay, now back over here for bait number 2. All right, I am pretty happy with that. I'm just going to hang it as is. We're going to get it in the UV chamber so that the clear coat can start to set up. Hang that like we did before, unscrew it. I unscrewed it a little bit too much. And over to join its brother in the UV chamber. In theory, these should only take a few minutes because I've got the lights super close, but I like to give them plenty of time. And then we can do the second coat without any worries. So we're almost there. 15-20 minutes, those will be ready for another coat, and then we'll get her done. I might have actually pulled this one out a little prematurely because it's still a little bit wet in a couple of spots, but we want to get that second coat on there nice and thick, get that nice glossy shine. Got my little hanger here, gonna get it hung back up, put it back in the UV chamber for probably, we'll give it a half an hour. Well, half an hour this time, and hopefully that's enough time to get it good and set, and then we'll be ready for our big reveal. All right, are you ready for the big reveal? Let's start with the small one, the one made out of the round, if you will. Bam. Obviously it's not fully cleaned up, no hooks or anything yet, but it kind of turned out cool. I mean, again, it's just for art. I think it looks pretty wicked. So there's the first one. But this guy, the second one, I have to say, I really, really dig it a lot. So, boom. Look at that. That thing is just crazy cool. I dig it. So there they are. So, got those done. Do you want them? Did you watch the whole video? If you're interested in these, hit me up in the comments, and I'll randomly select a winner here in a week or so, and I'm going to mail off one of these baits to one lucky winner. So, get to it. It's kind of a secret giveaway because really you'd have to watch the whole video to know, but there you have it. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.